I'm Jarret Keith, the Executive Director of Testimony Ministries, and also a doctoral student here at Fuller Theological Seminary. Testimony Ministries and Fuller Equip has partnered together to create an innovative course called Empowered Inside, specifically designed for incarcerated students. Right now, we're going to interview some of our students and get their lived experience and insights on prison ministry, evangelism, and incarceration.
This is Global Tellink. You have a prepaid call from an inmate at the California State Prison, Los Angeles County. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Hello.
What's up, bro?
What's up, Jarret?
Okay, so dude, if we could start out, no details necessary, and only if you're willing to share and what you're willing to share. But if you can let us know kind of what is your length of sentence, how much time have you been incarcerated, and how much time have you been following Jesus?
I was sentenced to 42 years to life. I've been in 17, and I've been following the Lord since 2017, so that's going 6 years.
The length of my sentence is actually life without the possibility of parole. I've been incarcerated for over 30 years, and I have been honestly and seriously following the Lord for over 30 years.
I've been in prison since February 20th, 1998. So it's going on 26 years. I was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole plus 206 years. I would say, the Lord provided me with insight into his love pretty much the whole time, but I think that I actually tapped into his blessings approximately around 2017.
I was sentenced to 3 consecutive 25 to life sentences. I've been incarcerated now for 23 and a half. March would be 24 years. So I was arrested March 19th, 2000. I gave my life to Christ on Thanksgiving 2015, when it actually was the worst day of my life, but it became the best day of my life, where I was on the verge of suicide, and Christ came and found me in that prison cell, and I've been walking with the Lord ever since then.
What have been some helpful and unhelpful aspects of prison ministry efforts?
Being that I know that prison ministry is a spiritual outreach program that are designed to support and provide resources to incarcerated individuals, it's my opinion that this creation by God has been a blessing. It's one of his many ways of displaying his love to me. My favorite book is Romans 13:10. It talks about love does no harm. And so I believe that prison ministry is one of God's many ways that has provided love. And I believe that any little thing someone does is a blessing, man. So, I feel fortunate. I look forward to more of God's love flowing through him, which whatever prison ministry he sends my way. I appreciate them all.
The helpful part is when we get visitors coming in, it's always great. It's always great when we get to interact with people that are free, especially for guys that don't give visits or don't have people coming to see them. So to them, it's almost like a visit to them. So that's always great. It always uplifts people. For a lot of guys that don't have support like that, it's just knowing that people care about them that are out there. But it cuts both ways, because the unhelpful part is that it's rare when you have prison ministries that are long-term. Those visitors will come in, they may be a year, 2 years, 3, and then they'll disappear. And then like, hey, what happened to so-and-so? He never came back. And then we get another prison ministry coming in. And then, after a little while, sometimes guys just get a little jaded. You meet people, you build a bond, build a relationship with the visitors, the sponsors, then they don't show up anymore. Then you got to build another bond with the next sponsor.
I would say that people coming from the outside is helpful in itself, really just their presence there. And what I mean by that is that their presence has potential, because the minute someone that's incarcerated sees someone that comes from the outside, it's automatically going to draw them to that person, because it gives them a sense of hope. It shows them that someone cares about them and that they are not forgotten. But to determine if that's going to be helpful or not is about the person's purpose. What is their purpose, and what is their presence? Is it going to be consistent? Because you have some people that come and then they'll sow a seed and then they'll just disappear. You have to follow up, because a lot of times people get their hopes up. You also have to factor in the trauma that incarcerated people have faced, dealing with abandonment issues, dealing with neglect. And a lot of it comes from the church, because my father was the preacher. So I grew up in the church, and I hated everything about Christianity because I saw what I perceived to be hypocrites. And so now I'm in prison, and if someone comes from the outside, oh, you poor little sinners, I'm just going to preach to you guys, and then you stay up. They become condescending. You're re-traumatizing me because I remember I see my Father in you, and not in a good way. So that can be unhelpful.
I've had ministries come in, and one ministry asked me, what do you guys need? And I told him, in no uncertain terms, we need it all. And then this ministry went on to express what it is that they could do. Do you need praise and worship leaders? Do you need us to come up and hold services? What about a Bible college? And we were yes to all those things. And none of them came through. And so it reinvigorates the idea that we're insignificant, as if the incarcerated church does not matter at all. When the church makes us feel like that, we're supposed to be taking on a culture of love. And love doesn't ask any questions about your past or about your present condition. Love just says, what do you need? When we're experiencing from the church anything but that, it is a breeding ground for contempt. It is a breeding ground for destructive thoughts. And it is a breeding ground of worthlessness. I just can't say enough about it, man. It's extremely painful. I'm 54 years old, and I'll tell you what, I still cry over the treatment that we have experienced from men and women that say that they love us because they love Jesus.
What are some of the challenges the incarcerated church faces to share the gospel inside of the prison? And what are some ways that you have seen the incarcerated church overcome some of those challenges to be a witness inside of the prison? Also, how can churches and prison ministries come alongside to help the incarcerated church overcome some of those challenges?
So, of course, we're incarcerated, so the challenge is the physical barriers, right? So all the brothers don't live in the same building. We're all scattered around the yard. So there's that. And, of course, you have, like, the lockdown, some services are canceled, and all these things. But that's just part of being in this environment. It comes with it. But then also, California, sometimes you have the racial barriers. We're fortunate that the church here does not have to worry about that. But, in other places, other yards, that does become a thing sometimes, right? But the thing that holds us back is really just physical barriers. It's just the access. Like, for instance, I would like to be able to, I'm going through something, I want to reach out to somebody, but they're in another building or they're in a cell down the way. And whereas if I was out there, I could just easily call them. But since I'm in here, I have to wait till I come out of the cell in order to see them so I can talk to this person, so I can maybe get some advice or whatever the case may be.
Just this Sunday, me and a few gentlemen went to another building by permission. We took a few pastry items and some sodas, and we shared the gospel. And it was phenomenal. The crowd that we had and the efficiency of being able to be flat-footed and speak to men squarely about the gospel of Jesus Christ was profound. The response was profound. But at the same time, we're limited because we're incarcerated. We're not seen as preachers of the gospel. We're seen as inmates. And because of that, there's security issues. And whenever we go to a building like this and minister, staff is not thinking, wow, this is powerful. No, they're thinking this crowd is getting too big. And if something goes wrong, because they're allowing us to do this, and if anything goes wrong, it's on them. If the church outside could network with us, even to the point to where they could begin being utilized to open doors that we can't open, so that the gospel of Jesus Christ can be illuminated throughout this whole institution and other institutions, how much more better would that be?
I have experienced the church community that come into prison hasn't actually been a part of the community in which I come from and the culture where I come from. So I would like to see more people that come from the community in which I come from, because it's one of my callings to help put a stop to the self-destruction that has plagued some of these inner cities. And I believe that if I was able to connect through the church, the Lord will be able to use me in the person that I used to be to have a positive influence and impact upon the community in which I come from. So either way, I'm going to do that. But I feel like the church that already is tapped into the community that will be an end way and be very powerful in someone like me to be able to communicate with the church and be able to show them my value in God's love that is blessed upon me, and be able to bless the community in which I come from will be real powerful. So yeah, if I had the opportunity to be able to tap into my community and the church people of my community, that would be something that I would like.
What I would like to see from outside churches is their presence. I would be doing myself a disservice, and I would be doing my brothers in Christ here a disservice if I didn't mention the fact that we do feel like we're forgotten about. Where is the church? We have struggles, and we know that the church, they have the resources to help us in many areas. So I can say, for one instance, I would love to see someone from the church come in here and counsel us, give us some biblical counseling. What does the Bible say about this? Or if I'm struggling in this area, what is some counseling that I can have that would help me on this path? How about the people that are incarcerated who are married and they're separated from their spouse and they're struggling with that? Or their wife is out there having to raise 2 or 3 kids on her own. That's another hurdle. Who do we have to talk to that can give us some advice on how to deal with that situation?
What we would like to see is prison ministries coming in here to empower the church in here, because there is a church in here. You know, a lot of prison ministries think that there's churches out there and they just come in here like we have nothing established and we're just here just looking to them for everything. And that's not necessarily true. We have a church, a vibrant church here, a growing church. And we would like prison ministries to empower our church, to equip our church, to recognize our church and help us in the efforts that we're doing here. Because at the end of the day, the discipleship process, we do that. The prison ministries cannot do it because they're only here on the weekend or once a week. The discipleship process is on a daily basis. We're the ones discipling each other, building each other up, bringing up the new believers. And because that's the case, we would like prison ministries to invest in us, to invest in this church.
We want to bring hope into people's lives, because I could speak for myself and countless other brothers who have given their life to Christ while incarcerated. There was a time where we really didn't have hope, and Christ gave us hope. But in order for some people to see that hope, they need to see people in society that actually see our humanity, because that was something I really struggled with. When I was 18, I did some of the most horrible things ever, but now I'm 42 years old, and people still see me as that same 18-year-old person. And the church's absence from here is saying that they still see me as that 18-year-old person. And I can guarantee you, if I was to get out right now and probably went to a church that I went to when I was a child, and they see me, I'm pretty sure I would be judged. And that's something that I struggle with.
I'm trying to reach people that come from different areas, such as where I come from, that feel like I've been through so much. There's no way that God can love me. I've done this, I've done that. I've harmed people, I've hurt people. But I'm here to let them know that Jesus still loves them. And I want people to understand that if he can make a change in a person like me, he can make a change in anybody. I try not to worry about any obstacles, because I always know that there's going to be a door that opens up. I have faith in the Lord, and with me having faith in the Lord, there's nothing that can stop me.